Good morning, good morning. It's not even 8 o'clock in the morning yet, and I'm already at my desk. I got up a little bit early this morning, so I wanted to get, it's the last day of September today, and I wanted to squeeze in my Circle Art Journal page for September, based on a song lyric or poem or whatever. It's a song. And it's a very, very old song as well this week, or this month. One dating from the I think it was 1829, the records say that it was written. But this is one from my childhood. This song evokes so many memories of sitting in front of the TV, snuggled up on the couch with mum and dad when I was a wee nipper. That was a really bad accent, wasn't it? But anyway, so without further ado, let's jump into my filming station and we'll do the art journal page for this month. The problem with having a gridded mat is that you can tell when you're not straight. I hope it's not too much of a distraction. Okay, so I've already got my Circle Journal art journal page out to do this project. So it's a bit of a weird one today because the object of the page today actually is a plate. So yeah, it's going to be quite difficult. I wanted to actually draw circles around the outside to denote kind of like the pattern on a plate, but I don't think I'm going to be good enough to do that freehand, and I can't find my compass. So I am going to try, but I'm going to use some really, really cheap felt tip pens. So this is going to be interesting. Now I've got something to draw on, but I haven't got anything perfectly the right size. So we're just going to have to wing it today. So I'm just going to go around the outside of the page like this and just hope to God that I can kind of do it without making too much of a mess. So I'm just going to follow the outside line. So yeah, so my chosen song for this month is was written originally around about 1826. So we're talking nearly 200 years ago, by a chappie called William Watson. And it's a traditional Northumbrian folk song that was used as the theme song for a TV show here in the UK in the 1970s. Now, the TV show was actually set around Newcastle and Sunderland, Tyne and Wear. So obviously has a lot to do with the fishing industry at that point. So it was kind of like a family drama set around the time, and based basically just on the lives of people living in that area at the time, and it was a huge thing. It was a huge success, the TV show, and the theme tune obviously was one that was quite striking, and it just stuck in my memory, as it will have done for a lot of people in the collective consciousness of most people who are around about at that time. And if you started singing it or humming the tune, then most people, particularly those around about my age, would probably immediately be able to sing the chorus, if they don't know the actual words of the verses, because obviously choruses and that kind of stuff are the ones that get used, are the most memorable bits out of a TV theme song. So I'm going to do three. So I'm going to do three consecutive rings to make it look like the rim around a plate. So we'll just do that. And I've not done anything at all to the actual page. I've not gessoed, I've not prepared it in any kind of way whatsoever. So sometimes art journal pages, you know, they don't have to be, I've said this many times, you don't have to always throw everything that you own at an art journal page. You don't have to put, you know, every stencil, every stamp, you know, on an art journal page when you're doing it. You can leave white space. And a lot of people are frightened of white space on an art journal page. You just have to be, you know, just confident that what you're trying to create is enough. So that's going to be the rim of the plate going round. So the song is called, well, for the TV show it was called When the Boat Comes In, but the actual song title, the actual real song title, is called Dance to Thy Daddy. And like I said, written around about 1826, almost 200 years old. It's a shame I can't actually play the music for you here, because obviously copyright and all that kind of stuff. But what I will do, as per usual, I will put a link below the video, whether you're watching on YouTube or whether you're watching on my blog. I will put a link to a modern version of the song. The version that I found is a bit easier on the ear to listen to than the original 1970 recording of the theme song by Alex Glasgow, which is a bit more very accented. Now, Alex Glasgow wasn't actually from the Northeast, he was actually Scottish. With a name like Alex Glasgow, can you imagine? And so, but he recorded the theme song for the TV show, and like I said, he was Scottish. It was set in Newcastle, or in the Northeast. So yeah, the song does come with an accent, I'm afraid. So the version that I found for you to listen to, if you're not very good with accents, is a more modern one without too much of the accent thrown in. So it's a very mellow, very nice version actually. So I printed out my quote, which is from the chorus, which is the one that most people will remember in the UK, unless, I don't know whether it was exported overseas. So the quote for this page, even before I've put, and usually I'm putting the quote down even before I've put my focal points down, so which is fine. So we'll just cut these out. So I'm just trying to, oh, there we go. So, you shall have a fishy on a little dishy. You shall have a fishy when the boat comes in. And I'm not going to attempt to do the accent. I wouldn't insult people up in the Northeast by trying to even attempt to have a go with that. Right, so, and because we've got you shall have a fishy on a little dishy, you shall have a fishy when the boat comes in, when the wood comes in. I said I wasn't going to do it, but there you go. I just went ahead and did it anyway. We need some fishies for the plate. So I've got these. I don't know what fishes these are. They could be mackerels, they could be sardines. It doesn't really matter because it doesn't actually mention a fish in the quote, although haddock is mentioned in the song lyrics at some point. So yeah, so you can do what you like. So what I'm going to do is I've got these three little fishes that I'm going to just cut out a little bit. But what I want to do is, before I cut them out completely from their backgrounds, is I want to just colour them. And the reason I'm leaving them in the background is so that it doesn't matter if I go over the lines. So let me just get set up for the colouring and then I'll be right back. Okay, so to start off with then, I've got some matte medium. So I want to go over the top of each of these with some of that matte medium, and I'm just going to just give that a quick shake. Now, the only reason I'm doing this is because I want to just seal it so that I can use a particular colour over the top. Now, these have been printed on my laser printer, so there's going to be no problem with bleed on the toner. If I'd have used a my inkjet, there probably would have been. My old Epson Workforce inkjet went faulty, and I couldn't find one to replace it, and that had the Durabright ink, which is permanent when dry and none of this nonsense. So yeah, the one that I bought to replace it, which is a HP, the ink isn't permanent, so which is a huge shame. A huge shame. Right, so matte medium, just give it a quick blast. There we go. We don't want to heat it too much because we don't want smoked mackerel, do we? Or sardines or whatever they are. Alright, so I did wear a hole from my original Ranger craft mat, and then I went to find one to replace it, and my god, are they so expensive these days. Importing them now from the US is just crazy. But works just as well. Okay, so let me just go get my colours and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got some Faber-Castell pip pens, which are India ink, which means that you can pretty much manoeuvre the ink around while it's still wet. Particularly if you put some matte medium down. So like I said, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to put the matte medium down first and leave them round, leave the white around it, so that it doesn't matter whether you go off a little bit, because we're just going to cut it out anyway. And you can be as rough as you like. Like I said, we are going to be cutting them out again, so and each fish can be different. Alright, and then we'll just add in a few kind of highlights. Maybe a little bit on the tail as well, just to add a little bit of visual interest. It doesn't really matter. I mean, we're only we're going to be cutting them out anyway, so there we go. And then that one. Just do a little bit different. There we go. Okay, so now that I've got those, I can now spend a little bit of time just going around the outside to cut them out. So I'll go away and do that, and then I'll be back once I've got these little fishes all cut out. All right, so I've not gone completely up to the edge. I've left a little bit of a white border around all of the fish. So as I've said previously, you don't have to use real fish. You don't have to use real images of fish. It doesn't make any difference. You can be as whimsical and wild and wonderful as you want to with anything in an art journal page, really, because nobody really is. You're only doing it for you, remember. You're not doing it for anybody else. And I've always said that. Over the 10 years that I've been doing this and on YouTube, I've always maintained that I don't art journal for you guys. I art journal for me. You're just along for the journey. If you don't like what I'm doing, well, that's fine. I'm not doing it for you. And that's what a lot of people don't understand with YouTube videos and that kind of stuff. They think you're performing for them. No, you're just along for the ride. There we go. Let's just do that at an angle, that one. And then we can cross it over. I remember years ago doing an art journal page which upset so many people, even though it was labelled not safe, you know, contained nudity. So many warnings, 3 or 4 different warnings, and yet people still got all upset when they watched it. You should have bloody watched it then, should you? You were warned. Yeah, that's the ticket. All right, and I'm not going around the outside, not with distress ink or anything, but I will come in with a pen afterwards. Like so. That's the line there when the boat comes in. That's the one. That was the name of the TV show. Check it out. It was great. All right, so just going to leave that to dry for a little while. Don't mind if those fishes, the tails, lift up a little bit. I'm happy with that. I'll be back in a second. All right, so just to add a little bit of depth, I've got my Stabilo oil pencil, the black one, and I'm just going to... I didn't ask you, Alexa. Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome.
Oh dear. As I was saying, I've got my Stabilo oil pencil. Somebody's listening in. And I'm just going to activate it on the desktop here. maybe just get a little bit more water. Oh, there we go. That'll do. And it's just to water it down a little bit. And then I'm just going to come underneath and just create a little bit of shadow. Sounds like I've got birds tap dancing on the roof again. Just watering that down a little bit just to get a bit of diffusion going. There we go. Bit more water. And then I'm going to take a little bit and just drop that. Just underneath. There we go. Just there. And we'll get rid of that. And then I've grabbed my ocean pen, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around the outside of those blocks. Maybe I have to wait till it's just dry a bit. Let's just help it along. That's better now it's dry. Go. So what I'll do is now I'm going to just write along here the title just in small. Have I ruined the nib on that? No. And we'll put the year 1826, and that, I think I'm happy with that. If there's one takeaway, fish takeaway, if there's one takeaway from this art journal page video, it's literally that you don't have to throw everything at your art journal pages. You can do an effective art journal page with very, very little on the page. And the clue is in the word art. Because it is art, it can be anything you want. It doesn't have to be layers and layers and layers and layers and layers. It can just be very simple, very minimalistic, and can be very abstract as well if you wanted to. You could do abstract fish. Nobody's going to know. It's your art journal page. What the heck? And the reason I've put those little pieces of paper like that, because it does actually look a little bit like chips. Like fries. just thrown on the plate. So there you go. That's my art journal page for September's circle journal. There you go. Like I said, I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this today. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.